Welcome everybody to my channel, Make It Work family. So I'm kind of new here to the vlog scene. My name's June and I am a mother of 4. I've been married 10 years, almost 10 years in June. And you know, going through life as we all are. And I just want to share some of the things that I've experienced. So, I would like for you to enjoy this video. And when you get a chance to, hopefully you will subscribe and like this video and reach out and let me know if you're going through some of the same similar situations that I went through and, you know, some of the things you're going through now. So let me get started. Okay, so here we go. This whole thing started by a dream. Actually, I had a dream that I had COVID. As you know, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and so everybody's been kind of on high alert, symptoms wise, you know, quarantine, spacing, all the social distancing. And I remember having a dream that I couldn't smell. Like, I tried to breathe in and I couldn't smell anything. And then I tried to taste, which is so weird, but in my dream I tried to taste and I remember I couldn't taste anything. So I was in my head processing who could have given me COVID. I was going through so many people who I was like, I think I know who gave it to me, and I'm gonna call them and tell them, like, you probably got me sick. So anyway, the symptoms were getting worse. I was having fever and I was super tired and you know, just feeling like super lethargic, and all the symptoms just so happened to kind of coincide with possible pregnancy. So just to be sure, I was like, you know what, let me take a test. I don't think that, you know, I'm pregnant. I just think I have COVID. But I thought I saw a line. It was so weird. I was like, and I went to my husband and I was like, babe, I think I see a line. So anyway, so we're gonna insert a picture of that pregnancy test right here or here. Sorry, I'm new to this. And I was like, do you see it? And you know, at first, you know, you're like psycho eyes and trying to analyze, like, is this just me making this up? So the next day, I was like, you know what? Maybe I don't have COVID. Maybe I'm pregnant. So that first test I just got from the dollar store. But I was certain that I was gonna go get some real tests. So I went and got some of the first response. And I actually got a clear blue. I'm of the believing that you test until you're sure. So I tested and I tested until I was sure. Here's a picture of the test. So after confirmation that I was pregnant, I was so happy because I just felt like my family wasn't complete and that we were missing some part or piece or person or some love that I had left that I hadn't shared yet. So we had decided that we were going to tell our kids. And it was so funny because I know that one of my daughters was like asleep. The other one was like in her room. So we like called them. We were like, you guys, we have something to tell you. They're like, what? We're like, I'm pregnant. And to my surprise, they didn't believe me. They thought that I was actually joking, which I don't know why, because I'm not really a prankster. I mean, I have done a few pranks in my time, but so after I showed them the plethora of pregnancy tests, they were shocked and super excited, and we were all celebrating as a family. And we had decided that we weren't going to tell our extended family until Christmas Eve. Yeah. And so we got all our, it was hard also not to tell like my mom, because like I talk to my mom every day, all the time. So not telling her and like trying to hide the fact that like I'm tired, like in the middle of the day. So fast forward to Christmas Eve. Everyone in my family decided that we would all wear matching pajamas, based on our immediate family. So my sisters and their kids and their significant others, they dressed alike, and then my family dressed alike, and then, you know, my parents and everything. So we were getting ready to take a picture. So I told everyone, I'm like, okay, I want everybody to take a picture, but I'm gonna take the picture. So everybody was like, okay, kind of like, I'm not usually the one that's like taking the picture, I'm not gonna lie. So I was like, no, like I really insisted, like I'm gonna take the picture. So I really had my phone on record, and I was like, okay, I didn't really want to take a picture, I just wanted to get the reaction of your faces when I told you I was pregnant. And crickets. Again, they didn't believe me. Like, seriously, I'm not that much of a prankster. Like, what? Why is everybody not believing me? So, once I showed them that I had all these positive pregnancy tests, like, I literally had to bring receipts to everyone in my family that this was happening. And they were super excited. Everybody was like, oh my God, I can't wait. I think it's a girl. I think it's a boy. We're going to have so much fun, blah, blah, blah. It was exciting. So Christmas happened. I decided to call my doctor's office and make an appointment. To my surprise, the appointments were months away. Because of COVID, I think the hospitals were really just overwhelmed, and they were dealing with the pandemic, but also almost like a baby boom, it felt like, because so many women, I think, during this quarantine have not been practicing social distancing. And I'm one of them. But I was like months of waiting for an appointment. To a pregnant mom, it feels like forever. Even 7 weeks. It's like, what? So, a few weeks later, I remember having this pain on my left side. So I went to the emergency room because I wasn't sure if I had some type of ectopic pregnancy. And ectopic pregnancy is where the fetus is fertilized, and then it doesn't pass through the fallopian tubes and head to the uterus. It just stays and develops in the fallopian tubes, which can lead to a lot of complications, and it's usually painful. So I kind of did my research, and I was like, you know what, let me just go to the doctor, even though that decision was hard as well, because anytime you're in the hospital, you know, you're feeling like, ooh, you know, I don't want to be overexposed to this devastating disease. I got to the emergency room. They checked me in right away. I did have a fever. I don't know why, I was just running fever. That was one of the reasons why I was just sure I had COVID. So they decided to do an ultrasound, and I was excited. I was like, you know, oh my God, you know, I get to figure out what's going on, and then also I get to make sure that this baby is in the right place at the right time. So they do an ultrasound, and the guy is like, quiet. And I'm like, is that like good quiet, or is that bad quiet? Like, what's happening? And then he kind of tells me like, oh no, it's just because they're not allowed to tell you a lot in the beginning because, you know, there's not much to see. At that point, I was literally only like 4.5 weeks. I always find out like super early with my kids that I'm expecting, and so my pregnancies feel like they last at least a year, because I know like from conception that something's different. So he tells me, you know, of course we can't print out any pictures, but they may give you one when you head back to the ER, and we'll go from there. So I'm like, okay. I get back into the emergency room, and the doctor tells me, you are pregnant. Your blood work is back. The numbers are, you know, normal for this stage in pregnancy. However, there is no fetus. There's just a gestational sac, and it should have a fetus developing, embryo soon. So I'm like, okay. So I head home. The doctor actually did give me a copy of the ultrasound, and I showed it to my family. We were so excited. Again, everybody was just like overjoyed about this baby. But again, my appointment was still like a 1.5 months out. Come to find out, the reason why I was having that side pain, it was because I had like a UTI. And so they just gave me like some antibiotics and sent me on my way. I decided, being that I'm impatient, and I can admit it, that I was gonna go to one of those ultrasound places where you kind of pay to play. And I was gonna get my own ultrasound because I couldn't wait a 1.5 months to see the doctor. Like, I need to know what's going on. So I make the appointment. I go in. I take my kids, my husband. We are like almost kumayaing in the car on our way there. It was so much fun and excitement. And again, the lady tells me that they see a gestational sac, but they don't see an embryo. And there was nothing there, just the sac. I'm going to insert a picture of that ultrasound right here. So I decided that, you know what, I'm gonna wait. I'll just wait for this appointment, even though I still have like a month to go. And that was excruciating. I don't know why I couldn't wait 1 month. I mean, it doesn't seem like much now, but it felt like forever. I was worried because I started doing research. And sometimes research, guys, is like, it's just that everybody has a different experience. And so just because, you know, other women may have had, you know, certain experiences doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have the same experience. But I started looking at, you know, gestational sac, no embryo. I found the term blighted ovum. I found terms like chemical pregnancy and just several different issues that can arise even with a positive pregnancy test. I remember watching one of the videos and the lady went through, you know, her whole process of how she was pregnant and finding out that there was no fetus even after like maybe 10 weeks. And I was just like, what if that's me? So I decide I'm gonna go to a different place and have another ultrasound done, because clearly I'll probably have what that lady had, and that's why they're not seeing a fetus. I started looking up, you know, what the HCG levels should be for, you know, this stage and that stage, and it was kind of complicated because the ranges varied so much. I was like, you know, is this normal for me? I don't even have anything to compare it to, because the range was like 1 to 1,000 or something. I don't even remember what the range was, but anywhere in between there is normal. So I go to this other place, and I remember she's like, do you need to use the restroom? I'm like, yeah. So I go use the restroom. I searched to find a place that could do a transvaginal ultrasound, because most of them said no. But this particular place did transvaginal ultrasounds. So I come back from the restroom. She has me lay on the little table thing, and she's like, I think I'm gonna do a abdominal ultrasound first. And I was like, nah, you know what, I'm so early, let's just do the transvaginal, because you're gonna be able to see better, and we'll get a clearer picture of if something is growing in there and what's happening. So she starts the ultrasound. Again, she's quiet. And you know, silence is like scary, right? So she starts moving the probe around, and I'm like, ow. And finally she breaks her silence and she's like, well, I don't see anything. I'm like, you don't see anything? She's like, there's just some loose fluid in your uterus. There's no gestational sac, there's no embryo, there's nothing. So she turns the monitor around so I can see. And sorry, I'm getting a little emotional because this part is like tough for me. She shows me basically this black space where I don't see anything either. And I'm like, well, I was just I just saw a gestational sac. And she's like, no, I think your body is absorbing what has started, and this is basically a pregnancy without a developing embryo, and this is what we call a miscarriage. And I remember feeling like pain, like not physical, but like just a rush of like sadness. She showed me that there was no blood going to the area. She like zoomed in on it. She was like, normally you would see blood vessels that would be feeding the area. There's nothing. She was like, there was a line in there, and she was like, this is your line of, I forgot what she called it, but there's like a line in the uterus where they could tell, you know, that they're in the right place. And she's like, it's empty. I'm gonna insert a picture of this empty void where a baby should have been growing right here. And wow, that was like a blow. All the way home, I was sad. But I got even sadder when I had to tell my kids and my husband that the baby was no more. That it had that I had somehow miscarried, and I didn't even know what happened. I didn't have really any answers, and so I had to comfort them while they were kind of going through the process of grieving, and then just try to keep it together, so to speak. That was really tough because we just all were so excited, and it was heartbreaking. I had to then tell my extended family, which was harder because it was like everybody wanted to know why and what happened. And you know, of course, people want to rationalize, well, maybe, you know, you were too busy, or maybe you could have done something differently. So fast forward to, you know, a couple weeks later, I was still just so sad. I remember deciding that I was gonna have some wine. I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna cry this out. I'm gonna have a glass of wine with my husband, and we're going to try to put the pieces back together. And we did. He went and got me some wine. I don't know if I can say the name, but it was red wine. and it was good. So good that I finished the bottle. I'm so embarrassed to say that, but we just cried and we just talked and we just, you know, processed everything that we were going through, and I was trying to move on. You know what I mean? So a few more weeks go by, and I'm wondering, why hasn't my cycle started? What's wrong with my body? So again, I turned to Dr. Google. I started researching what could be wrong with me. How long does it take, you know, for your body to get back to normal? What happens after, you know, you miscarry and you have maybe a possible blighted ovum? I didn't even have the term, but I remember I had an appointment, that same first appointment, which was coming up, but I couldn't go to it because one of my daughters was having her IEP the same day at the same time, so I couldn't go. And I was kind of over it anyway, because I was like, well, I already miscarried, so what's the point, you know? But that night I was like, you know what, my boobs were so sore, like literally I would like cringe to take off my bra, and that was pretty much the only symptom that I had left. I was like, you know what, let me take a test just to see if the lines are lighter. So I go to the dollar store, I get a test, and I take it, and to my surprise, the line is still there, which is shocking to me. And I'm gonna insert a picture of that test right here or over here. So I show my husband, I'm like, well, let me look up how long it takes for this, you know, HCG to leave the system. It tells me about a month. So I remember thinking, you know what, tomorrow I'm gonna call my doctor and I'm gonna go in because I need to know what's going on. They were saying on Google that you could have portions of the sac that, you know, don't dissolve, and they could lead to like toxic shock and things like that. And I was just like, okay, I don't need those kind of problems. So I called my doctor's office like early that morning. I remember waking up super early. They had it sounded like the representative had just woke up. I'm like, look, I need to get in there. She's like, well, I'll tell you what, we do have a cancellation. If you can be here, and she gave me a time, then we'll see you today. So I'm like, whew, okay, cool. So like I rushed there. I get there, I'm waiting. They call me in, and the doctor was like, okay, what happened? So I tell him, you know, I had these ultrasounds and it told me I had a gestational sac, but a fetus never developed, an embryo never developed, I'm sorry. And I was told that there's nothing in my uterus. And so I was asking him, you know, when am I going to be back to normal? Because this is taking a long time and I'm just kind of ready to move forward, so to speak. He's like, well, we're going to do an ultrasound because we just need to see for ourselves what's going on. There could be some need for a DNC, which is where they clean out anything that was left behind by the former pregnancy. So I'm like, okay. So he's talking to me. He does a transvaginal ultrasound, and he's like, so how are you and how have you been holding up? And I'm just kind of going through the things that I've done to try to get back to normal. And then I said, so only thing I'm waiting for is for my period to start. And he got quiet. And then again, the mind starts to wonder, like, oh God, I'm probably dying or something, because why is he quiet? And he tells me that my period isn't gonna come because I'm still pregnant. What? I literally could not breathe. I had my mask on, and I remember grabbing it, like, he's like, put your mask back on, you need to breathe. I was like, you don't understand. She already told me that the baby died. You don't understand. I drank wine, because it hit me. Like, oh my God, I drink wine. I'm like, I rearranged my room. Like, I redid my whole room because I was just so sad, and I felt like I needed a change of scenery, even if it was only in my own home. I was telling him, like, what? I'm pregnant. He's like, look, here's your baby right there. He turns the monitor around, and when I tell you, there was a whole baby in my uterus. Like, I could see arms, legs, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Like, it was all there. At that point, I lost it. Here is a picture of that ultrasound right here. I was officially 10 weeks in like a day. So I was still like completely in shock. I remember driving home, and again, I was like, is this real? How could this be real? I remember thanking God, like, you know what? I thought that it was over, I had given up, and I had just resolved that, I was gonna have to move on. When I got home, I showed the ultrasound picture to my husband, and we just stood there. Like, he needed some time to process it, but I think I did too, because it was just like, wait, what? The best part was showing our kids the baby's ultrasound picture, and just celebrating the fact that we were still expecting a baby. We really just were blessed with one of the best gifts that we could have ever received, especially coming out of such a horrible pandemic, and the process of thinking that the baby didn't survive, and so the excitement just continued. So I'm thinking, because I asked him, how did she miss it? So the doctor told me that my uterus has like an anterior tilt, and now I know that. And he said that if she just didn't you know, put the probe at the certain angle, she would have missed it. I think back to that day all the time. But then now I just think about, you know, how that process made this baby that much more special than I had ever imagined. I never want anybody else to experience that. And if you are going through situations where you have had a miscarriage, or you have had, you know, some issues with your pregnancy, I certainly can empathize with you. And, you know, you're all like in my prayers, because it is extremely difficult to, you know, do life after loss. But there are so many of you who have inspired me to do this video, just to tell my story, so that as other women are going through similar situations, that they won't give up, and they will continue to, you know, if you're trying to conceive, they will continue to try, or they will do whatever it takes for them to have that self-care and self-love, and be lifted up, because we go through a lot as women, and a lot of times we go through it by ourselves. Just know that there is always hope. And so with that being said, I know this video is long, but I just really want to encourage you and let you know that on this channel, all the stories won't be, you know, sad. I just had to start with the truth, and that's my motto. You know, I just had to start with where the rubber meets the road. If this video has touched you in any way, or if you are interested in more videos where, you know, I'm kind of telling my story, then you're in the right place. Please be sure to like and subscribe. I plan to do a lot more videos, and I plan to share a lot of my life and the life of my children, and this pregnancy. Being plus size, that'll be another hurdle. And so I am excited to have you with me on this journey, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.